So do nice guys actually always finish last? I saw this video with Nick Cannon and Neo and a couple other folks, Godfrey, a comedian, a couple other folks talking about, men actually being the bad guy and how nice guys actually finish last. So I'm going to break this down from a men's mental health perspective as a licensed therapist. So you guys sit back and we're going to talk about it right now. What's good, y'all? Terrence Stewart, licensed therapist. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I want to break this down. Right? So Nick Cannon and Neo. So it's a video of them having this discussion around how nice guys actually finish last. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments before we even get into it. Do you guys feel like nice guys actually finish last? So let's check the video out and see what they're talking about.
Oh, okay. And then the nice guy did finish last a lot of times.
But I've been both guys. I've been the nice guy.
Been a nice guy before.
I've been the bad boy, and it didn't work.
Right.
But of the two, the bad boy always works a little more.
So why is it that the bad boy works more? Neo said he had the opportunity to be the nice guy, and then he also had the opportunity to be the bad guy. And typically the bad person, or bad boy, meaning like player, not really paying attention in a relationship, not giving too much attention, actually work better than actually being nice, cordial, and all that. Now, from my perspective and my lived experience, I would have to say, and this is just my experience, it is true. I'm gonna say I'm genuinely, at the essence, who I am, a nice guy. I don't feel like I'm a-hole. I don't feel like dogging women or anything like that. I've had obviously bad relationships and made mistakes, but I typically don't dog women like most men would dog women, right? But I remember a point in time in which I also became the a-hole, quote unquote, and it actually worked. You know what I mean? It was a point in time where, me being nice I wouldn't say it wasn't working, but I wanted to try something different. I've seen a lot of the guys being, in not in relationships, but getting more women by not paying them much mind or much attention. I'm the type of guy that I will go on dates. I will be cordial. I usually typically would date one woman at a time and things of that nature. But sometimes it wasn't fulfilling, I guess you could say. But when I noticed that I wasn't giving much attention to women, or like I'll just act like whatever, like we just hang out or whatever, we doing whatever, that's when the chase, the women like the chase, of like, hey, like, are we doing this? Are we doing that? Or are we hanging out? And I thought it was very interesting. I think I resonate with this a lot, and I feel like it was super interesting for me to have that experience and actually looking like, okay, well, do nice guys actually finish last? And let's keep watching the video. Then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
So women are attracted when you're younger. Are women attracted to toxicity?
Young women.
So young women are attacked. I guess this is. I don't know if this is accurate. I feel like if you're toxic, you're toxic. If you're not, you're not. Sometimes you can grow out of toxicity, or sometimes you can fall into it, no matter what age you are. But I will say I was in my early 20s when this was going on, or when I shared the story with you guys. So this may be true. I'm in my mid 30s now, so it may be true.
Because you gravitate toward what smells familiar, and if you come from a household where machismo and all that is around you, you unconsciously feel safe in that.
Okay.
And that's
but then you learn from peers too, because you watch your boys, you go,
man. So let's break this down a bit. So from a standpoint in which some women may grow up in environments where, like the gentleman was saying, machismo is usually this hard masculinity. Sometimes most folks will equate it now to like toxic masculinity, but I personally don't believe like in toxic masculinity, because it's saying like, okay, that's toxic water. So like what we call water, toxic water, what we call it mud. You know what I mean? So at any point, that's not even masculinity to begin with if it's toxic, right? So that's just my whole story. That's probably a whole nother video. But if you grew up with toxic masculinity in your household and quote unquote toxic masculinity, and you have machismo or whatever it is, and you're used to those conditions, if a man is nice to you, would a woman not want the man because they're not comfortable in that, right? And I know it seems odd. It seems weird to say that somebody's not comfortable with, being with a nice guy, or not comfortable being with somebody that is showing them, I guess, the compassion, the romance, and all that stuff. No matter if something is toxic or something that isn't toxic, the important thing to always recognize, especially when we look at maybe other relationships, like, why is that person with this person when they're not doing any good? Or, why is this person with somebody that is doing them more harm than good? From our perspective, we may see that, or you may see that within yourself. Like, why am I in a relationship that isn't serving me? Or it may be quote unquote toxic. It's because the comfortability of being in that is actually easier than not being in it. The comfort in being in something toxic is easier to be in with somebody who's grew up in that, as opposed to somebody who didn't grow up in that. Now, with that being said, obviously you got to have a little bit more compassion for folks like that. Got to have a little bit more, more compassion, more, what's the word? Patience with folks. So having to understand that too, like that's super important. But let's keep watching the rest of the video and see what else is cracking in here. Let's roll it.
He's so I think I'm gonna do that, because high school happened to me. I was the nice guy, man. I was like, get her flowers. My mother's like, that's good. I did all that, and I got doodled on, and I was like, that will never happen to me again.
So peep this, right? So Godfrey, I'm glad he mentioned this, because at one point in time, high school is usually most men, I'm sure maybe women too, this is where you really learn how to like date, how to court. Maybe you might have your first boyfriend, your first girlfriend around this time of age, right? If you're in a relationship and this is your first relationship and it doesn't go well, or you got shot down, or you just got crushed from it, then, for men, typically this is the foundation of like, okay, I'm not ever being nice again. I'm not ever doing these things again, because with men, we're very fragile. As masculine as we are, as maybe exterior, as strong as we may be, we're very fragile when it comes to emotions. So think about a young man, a young boy that's got shot down from a girl that he really liked, and did all the things you probably seen in movies, or his mom told him to do, hey, like, get her flowers, chocolate, and all this other stuff, and still get shot down. It can hurt a man in a way in which relationships after that, he doesn't want to ever experience that hurt again. That's what he said. Like, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. So how do you prevent that from happening again? You don't be nice ever again. Because being nice when you first did it didn't work out. And I feel like this is also a foundation of many men who end up being in toxic relationships or things of that nature, because, men, we try. We try and try and try, but it may not work out the way we want it to work out. We try to do these different things and try to court, try to be nice, trying to, be sensitive and all these other things. But sometimes a woman may not be ready for that, especially at that age, and may not know how to respond to that. Or also, just wanting something that they probably see, you may not be the ideal guy that they want at the time. They may want something else. But let's keep rocking with the video and see what more we can break down from this.
Oh man, we gotta unpack this. I think that's happening to all. That might be the origin story of our toxic masculinity.
What did Nick say? Let's back it up again, because I like what he said. Because he said exactly what I was about to say too. What I said. So I know what I'm talking about. I do this.
That might be the origin story of our toxic masculinity.
All right, so Nick said that's probably the origin story of our toxic masculinity, right? Again, I have this whole thing around toxic masculinity. That's not masculine at all. But a lot of people gave heat for Nick Cannon dapping up Godfrey and him having this moment hey, this is where it started, bro. This is where it started. And a lot of people seen that as being celebratory, like you're celebrating that we're toxic. But I feel like this was more of an aha moment than them just actually like celebrating, like, hey, yeah, this was our toxic moment. They probably, some women, they may, if they have an aha moment, they're like, okay, sis. But man, we going, hey, like, you feel me? I feel you too, man. Like, this is awesome that we have this aha moment. We have this experience and we're having this moment together. So I don't feel like they're dapping each other for the sake of just dapping each other. I feel like they're dapping each other because they had an aha moment. That's what I think. That's personally what I think. But let's keep watching it.
That's what it is. All forever. I was the poem writing, putting flowers in the locker.
To be or not to be.
And then when I saw her go for the bad boy, I was like, these flowers.
And I'm gonna say this much: men, we got to do better. We can't be as fragile. And I say fragile meaning that we can't allow one experience to dictate how all the other experiences are going. That's like all or nothing thinking. If you guys don't know what all or nothing thinking is, all or nothing thinking is you either think one way or another way. There's no gray or there's no in between. The way things are going to happen is, or how you feel like it's going to happen is always going to happen, and it's always going to be a sequence. So I'm going to either do it or not do it. Obviously, that works in some situations where it's like, hey, am I going to step out of faith and not step out of faith? But when it comes to emotions and it comes down to you actually wanting to develop healthier relationships, you can't incorporate all or nothing thinking in that because you're going to be blocking your blessing if you do so. You're really going to be blocking your blessing if you do so.
Word. And it worked. Right? And I was like, I would never be heartbroken again. Ever.
See, men don't heal. Usually men hoe. And I'm going to break this down because men, we don't heal. We usually hoe. And what that means is, typically when men, we go into situations or relationships or we get heartbroken, we don't take the time to process. We don't take the time to be able to understand what's really going on. And I think it's interesting for Nick Cannon to say this because Nick Cannon is a man of multiple children with multiple women. And I'm not sure if there's a correlation between like all the hurt he's been through and, him having a lot of children with multiple women. I know there's different reasons. I know he like really big on like spreading seed and all this other stuff and wanted to, leave his legacy and all that great stuff, which is fine. That's cool. But I'm not sure. Maybe there is a correlation between the two.
Never want to feel that.
And it hurts. And man, we can't take that.
Right. I'm glad I thank you for that because I think we just grew from that a little bit.
Yeah, Godfrey said it. Men, we usually can't take that. Nick Cannon seemed like he was grateful for having that aha moment. And I know there's a lot of talk, a lot of heat, but bro, like let men talk about these things. And I know this openly. Sometimes we talk about these things privately, but I think this was a healthy conversation to have. I think it was needed. It felt like Nick Cannon had a breakthrough. A lot of people that were watching it had a breakthrough. I'm really appreciative of these type of conversations. I feel like we need to have more of these conversations and just not look at the comments and the headlines and just say like, hey, you shouldn't be thinking about that. You shouldn't be talking about that. Or, shaming men for having honest conversations because with conversations like this, we can start to build healthy relationships. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Make sure you guys subscribe, do all the good stuff to keep these videos rolling. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace.